Hey, it's Fort Worth Playboy.
And MyPlayboysBunny.
Welcome to our podcast where we'll discuss pickup, game, relationships, and
Sex.
And today we will talk about a little bit about the dark side of sex, but it's girls' world. This is another girls' world topic. Girls and deception.
Ooh,
because
it's a loaded topic.
It is. I mean, we're all real good about getting on Twitter and going, girls are always lying. And then when they're talking to us, we forget that they're lying all the time.
That's a valid point. That's really important to drive home.
You would like to have a better filter, but I think most men, because they're used to talking to men.
Yeah.
And men are very straightforward, with each other, and they do value honesty in exchange of information. And girls have none of that.
And I think the difference is if a man doesn't want to answer a question, he won't answer it straightforward. He'll kind of either divert or he'll say some bullshit, something like as a joke, in order to get you off track, to not give you a straight answer. Girls will just lie.
Yes. Like they're breathing.
Either one of them. But my point is, like, if you're asked a question and you don't want to answer it, you'll make a joke of it and then just move on. Where if you ask me a question that I don't want to answer, I'll probably give you an inaccurate answer and try to pull it off as the truth.
Which is why guys are fooled all the time.
Yeah.
Day in and day out.
Yeah.
But there's some major, they lie about a lot of stuff that you don't think matters because you will not know this stuff.
Girls will lie about weird stuff, or be deceptive, I should say, about weird stuff that there's no point in being deceptive about.
But they know, and they know through watching their moms operate in the world, watching their friends' moms, older women giving them advice, be it good or bad, to hide a lot of things from men.
Yes.
Because a lot of times guys go, yeah, well, why didn't you tell me that? Well, or they know that a guy would freak out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
that book.
There was a book called The Secret Garden. Every player, every playboy, every guy that has a lot of contact with women intimately should read it, because it's all these women's fantasies, and this is written like back in the 60s, 70s.
I was going to say, it's an older book.
Where the guy that put it together, the editors, they actually sent out like letters and said, would you tell us this? And the women had to write back. It wasn't interviews, it was written. Mm-hmm. And they're returned, and they have all these sex stories, these sexual fantasies. What do you really fantasize about?
Yeah.
And in maybe 80 or 90% of the stories, the girl said, I could never tell my husband this. It would upset him.
Yeah.
And these are the men that they trust more than any other man on earth.
Right.
And value his opinion, but they were not going to let him know their deepest sexual fantasy because it would upset him, or he would become angry.
Right. Well, and like I've told you, I used to keep a dream journal, and it wouldn't matter if it was a sexually charged dream or if it was completely inert. If there was another male in my dream, my ex-husband got into reading my dream journal without my knowledge, and he would get mad. He'd get mad at something that I had dreamt about some other person, and it may not have even been a sexual thing, but that was a purely, like, for my eyes only kind of writing.
Yeah.
You're just documenting what you're writing down, and I finally stopped keeping a dream journal because I'm like, this is not worth fighting over.
Guys get upset over it's dangerous. The size disparity, men's anger, alcoholism. Yeah. Girls are very careful around men. We always think that they don't know that the difference in size, strength, and just how dangerous it is when you have a difference in ability to hurt each other. But I think women are far more conscious of it than men are conscious of how weak women are.
We have to be.
Physically, for survival.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the big categories. And and every guy in our world knows girls lie about their number of sexual partners.
Yeah, their notch count, I think, is a huge one. Yeah, we just kind of came up with a list of most lied about, we would say, and this is from some discussion with other women as well, outside of this little pair.
And collaborated.
Yeah. So notch count is a huge one. You very, very rare will you actually know an accurate number. And even if you know the accurate number, you may still not believe it. So it's kind of a catch-22. Fort Worth knows my accurate number. I don't know if he believes it, but that's neither here nor there. Women also hide other men besides just sexual partners. Women hide other men from each other.
Give an example.
So, say you're running a rotation and she's running her rotation of her own kind. She's going to do her best to make sure that you don't think that she is running any other men in her life.
This is what I probably call the greatest secret that women have.
Yeah.
Is their ability to have sex with other men without those men knowing about each other whatsoever.
At all.
And, I know when I was running a rotation, and it did shock me, like a girl was heading out. She was going to go meet her new or going to be boyfriend. And I said, I know about him. Does he know about me? And she's like, oh, God, no.
Yeah.
Girls kind of like know who can take it and who doesn't need to know ever.
Well, you were there for fun,
plans.
so she's a little more
different plans.
honest with you about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But she would never, even not now, and they're married now, she would never be honest with him about the men that she was running up until she became serious with him.
Yeah. And that's I think that's women's greatest ability is to hide men. Because if you think about, like, when you talk to girls, they won't mention another man at all.
Right.
Maybe not even a brother or their father.
Yeah.
It's
true.
It's very conditioned.
Well, and that's a good point. Even fathers, depending on a man's relationship with his own family and say he's been married or had a serious girlfriend in the past who maybe her father and he didn't quite click, any mention of your father, even though they're not even the same people, will set him off. Like, it's the real deal.
And every girl's had all you need is one bad experience.
Ooh, it's all it takes.
And then you're like, okay, I'll never do that again.
So aside from just other men in their lives, they'll also really pull the wool over or hide how many men interact with them over the course of the day, because men will it's a constant thing. I know we drive this point home a lot, but that's because we feel like you have no concept.
Men can't comprehend it.
No, there are people touching her stomach. There are people touching her ass. There are people touching her shoulders. There are people touching her neck. Like, there are people touching her hair. There are people reaching out and touching her hand. There are people giving her gifts. All of these things men are doing constantly who are relative strangers. They don't have to be familiar people. These don't have to be other men who you're terribly familiar with for them to do these things. Men behave in such bizarre manner.
Or even small talk.
Yes, small talk, going out of their way to get as much of your attention as they possibly can. DMs, all of it.
And if you don't think that men react bad to this, you should hear the other side. They're like, well, why is she letting him touch her?
It happens so quick.
Why is she talking to him?
Yeah.
It happens so quick because it's just in passing or the guy is there and gone.
Yeah. It happens and you don't see it. Girls don't. Half of it you don't even see coming.
No.
Half of it you try to avoid and get out of as soon as possible.
Or the guy's passing by. And then these boyfriends or these husbands are like, well, why didn't you yell? Why didn't you scream? Because she'd be screaming all day.
All the time. We'd be hoarse all the time. And not crazy. From screaming on your cock, from all the other screaming.
Keep going.
So the next thing that I think that girls lie about the most or hide the most, is purchases.
No
like
way.
Amazon purchases.
Really? Do you think that's possible?
I don't know. I mean, I've heard of that, but no,
I
wouldn't do it myself.
Nor
but I
should
think
you.
that purchases, mistakes.
Let's talk about the purchases again.
Okay, so Fort Worth cracks me up. He teases me because I wouldn't think twice. I mean, I stress over a single $150 purchase. Like, I will take weeks deciding whether I'm going to make a purchase or not of that kind of amount. And I know that that's still not a large amount. But I will make $10 purchases in a 12-hour period.
In the time of this podcast, she could do that.
It's almost Christmas season. Anyway, it's always almost Christmas season. Girls will be deceptive about mistakes they make. You know, we've talked about not even bothering calling girls out on bad behavior because it's so ridiculous. We will be adamantly opposed to, you know, showing that we've made any kind of mistake whatsoever. A lot of girls really will dig their heels in on that one.
Do you include that in the driving? Just driving?
Fender benders are the next on the list because truly it'll be like, oh, how did that happen? Oh, I didn't realize that my windshield got broken. Oh, when did I catch that mirror? You know, or they'll
blame it on a kid.
They'll blame it on a kid.
They'll blame it on a kid because they know their husband has made 35 repairs to this car.
Exactly.
All of them minor, but all of them cosmetic or where she's bumped into another car,
Oh, yeah.
Curbed it.
Oh, gosh. Exactly.
And they don't, at a certain point, they just don't want to
rub the tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to tell them.
Exactly. Girls will also be deceptive about like what they're eating, what they're drinking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
we know that.
I ate so well today. I don't know why I'm feeling fluffy today. I've just had a salad for lunch. Like that kind of thing. They'll also, I hear a lot of women who are deceptive about cosmetic procedures. So fillers, Botox, nose jobs that they got 10 years ago, liposuction, things of that nature. It's like, no, my husband doesn't know that I get Botox. Or, it's like, well, where does he think this $1,500 went? Like,
yeah, and Marilyn and I, we're both in fitness. And we work with, just regular people. And they tend to be more open with us.
Yeah.
Than with their husbands or with relatives.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're used to seeing boob jobs. We're used to seeing...
Yeah. We're in Texas.
We're in Texas. But there are girls that will go to their grave going, nope, never had anything done.
Uh-huh.
Not so much around us, but around their spouse or
it's
other
true.
men. Yeah.
It's so true. And this one will be of no surprise. Girls are pretty deceptive about their girls' night outs, which is why we say don't encourage girls' night outs for your girl, because it's not really a healthy environment for your relationship for her to be going out with girlfriends.
It comes down to environment.
It does.
Great girl could have good friends.
Yeah.
But it's the wrong environment.
It is. You get them all with a couple of drinks in them in a bar or somewhere where they're getting male attention, and everyone turns into a 16-year-old whore. And in addition to that, I would say is we hide what we discuss with our friends. It'll always be, well, what did y'all talk about? Oh, nothing. That's because we don't want to tell you everything that we've discussed with our girlfriends.
But really, what are the two topics that women talk about?
Their men and their kids.
That's it.
That's all we talk about.
From the age of 12 or 13.
Yeah. Literally.
The babies are going to have, and the boys are going to.
Yeah.
They're going to, spend their life with.
It's true.
And then they don't stop.
Yeah, it's true. And the last thing, at least on the list that I compiled, is girls are deceptive because what others, whether they be friends, family, employees, co-workers, you name it, what they say about you, their guy.
This one caught me off guard. I did not realize that.
Yeah, and we all do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think an important point is it doesn't even have to be something malicious or particularly ugly. I think a lot of times we don't say it because we think that we're protecting you. We don't think that without context that you would really respond well to it. It's kind of like we talked about with the guys that are touching and always encountering you. It's the same kind of thing. It's like there's no point in upsetting you, and it may not upset you, or it may completely piss you off. And
why take the risk?
Yeah, seriously.
Most guys are pretty easily upset.
Yeah.
I mean, the vast majority. I mean, they like to pretend that they're unemotional or stoic, and most are like one word away from like a meltdown.
Yeah.
Most of the time,
putting a fist through her. Seriously. So, I think that's a pretty solid list to kind of give you guys an idea that girl world is just kind of a deceptive place. Sometimes we are deceptive about things that we don't need to be deceptive about, but we've truly been trained from birth to be pleasing, to only do things that make others happy, and just to keep conflict to a minimum. So if it's anything that's going to upset you, or that may upset you, or that would have upset our fathers or our brothers, I mean, these are the ways that we learn this stuff, is in watching and growing, and the way that our mothers handle things, or how we had to be careful around dad at the end of a work day or whatnot.
Oh, yeah. And guys aren't going to ever say any of this to each other.
Yeah.
They're going to say, she came by and said that her mom had said this about me, and then I lost my shit.
Yeah.
So you're never going to see it. It's like when people go home and they're abusive to their family, and then they come back to work and they're like a stellar employee.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Sure.
And guys around other guys aren't going to say, my girlfriend told me that some guy started chatting her up, and I was like, why the fuck are you talking to him?
Right.
And it went downhill from there.
And that's a good point. That becomes my fault that someone else approached.
Exactly.
That the only way I stayed in it was to try to exit out of it.
Maybe if you didn't dress like a whore. That's what guys do.
That's true.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how it's handled.
You got to blame her.
Yeah.
So they avoid it by not mentioning it.
Yeah. We don't really like to fight, I swear.
It's really about just like, does that give you an idea? Think about how much most women and men fight, and that's with her not telling them stuff.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Shh. Nothing to get done.
Good point.
So if you guys like this video, like it, subscribe. We have newsletters in the links below if you want a little bit more of us. And be sure to comment below if you want to add anything, because a lot of this girl world, and what I want to convey is girls love men who just get it.
Yeah.
They don't want guys that they have to, explain everything to.
They can't.
Or just are clueless when it comes to women. So if we can kind of clue you into how women move through the world, how they see it, how they interact with it, and how they interact with us, the better you can be one of those guys. Then she's like, fuck, I don't know how he knows this, but he just gets it.
He just gets it.
Yeah.
And if there are any specific topics that you have in mind that you would like to hear us discuss on the podcast, or that we've already written books on, you will find that in the description box below. We want you to win.
Yeah.
Bye!